Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank you for joining me. My name is Miranda Schooms, and I am a student at Florida Atlantic University and am in the MBA program. 2014. It seems like a year marked by constant data breaches. Over 20 corporations had their data compromised that year alone. This includes Michaels, Neiman Marcus, UPS, Jimmy John's, Kmart, Target, and Home Depot, who had one of the biggest data breaches of them all. Today I will be discussing that 2014 Home Depot data breach. I will go over an executive summary, a brief history of Home Depot, an industry analysis. I will discuss the problems with the hack and how the hack happened, as well as a main challenge that arose for Home Depot because of the hack, as well as some solutions that Home Depot had and their implementation of the solutions. I will also discuss a possible alternative solution that I would take if I were the CEO, and then from there I'll go into my conclusion. Let's begin. Home Depot had a data breach in 2014 simply because they did not keep up with technology. They were using old Windows servers. Their antivirus was outdated. They didn't have proper malware software installed. They had vendors operating off of their website, which was linked with customer data. And they were using old credit card machines. So the breach caused them to lose millions of dollars. And this is not just that year. This is over a multi-year period because of legal issues that have arose from this. So finally, when Home Depot was able to investigate where they went wrong and how the hack happened, they were able to implement some solutions. And the ones that they chose to implement were point-to-point encryption software and chip and pin card readers, which is what they use today. So as the CEO, I would have actually done things a little bit differently. I would have focused on prevention. As soon as I found out about the Target data breach, I would have hired more IT employees. I would have immediately had training sessions for employees and had training sessions for vendors to understand how to prevent malware. I also would have constantly updated my software. A brief history of Home Depot. In 1978, Bernie Marcus and Arthur Blank were fired from handy-dan home improvement centers. By 1979, with the help of financial backers, they were able to open 2 Home Depots in Atlanta, Georgia. And in 1990, they became America's largest home improvement retailer. And this is partially because they really wanted to focus on customers being able to come in and ask experts for advice. They wanted to hire people who knew how to install the things that customers wanted installed and could tell customers and teach them how to do it. So now today, Home Depot has over 2,200 stores in the US, Canada, and Mexico. Now let's look at Home Depot from the Porter's Five Forces framework. So first of all, they have a lot of industry competitors. Their biggest one is Lowe's Home Improvement. Also, Walmart is a very big competitor now because they're starting to sell items like hammers and drills and screws. Also, places like Florida have Orchard Supply and Hardware, and places like the Midwest have Menards, which also competes with Home Depot. In addition, IKEA was a very big competitor for Home Depot when they went to China. It's actually one of the reasons why they had to pull out of China and couldn't make it there. In addition, Amazon just rolled out this new deal with Sears Kenmore appliances. So potentially customers could be going to Amazon more for appliances rather than Home Depot. Also, substitute products. Now, there are a lot of substitute products that people can go to. For example, instead of going to Home Depot for help, they could simply hire a home renovator. Also, they could go on forums and apps like House to get advice and learn how to build objects that they might go to Home Depot for. They could also do-it-yourself YouTube videos and then get the supplies needed from another distributor like Lowe's. And they could just buy new products from Walmart. So if they have a desk that breaks, instead of fixing it, they'll just go to Walmart and buy a new one. So new entrants. So that's a little bit of a moderate force because Home Depot owns so many locations, but really anyone can enter the industry, especially because of the internet that is constantly adding new threats to every industry. Also, Lowe's could acquire new businesses, and then that could grow their businesses and really hurt Home Depot. So buyers really have a lot of other options to go to, as we saw with the industry competitors. They can also, as we said, rely on websites, forums, etc. And they have a lot of pull because if they're having an issue with Home Depot, well, they just cite that getting out in the public about it could hurt their reputation. Suppliers, on the other hand, have a little bit lower power. So there are a lot of people offering supplies, and they can go to other competitors, but there's no guarantee that competitors won't have a contract with someone else. So suppliers actually really need Home Depot. Now let's go back to the data breach. September 8th, 2014, Home Depot released a statement saying that their payment card systems were breached. Now, at the time, this came out to be the largest data breach in history up until that point. And Home Depot also came out with the information that the breach could have happened as early as April. So, in 6 months, 56 million payment cards were stolen. That means credit card information was stolen to buy objects online. Also, 40 million email addresses were stolen, which contributed to phishing scams. Now, a key challenge arose because of this. Home Depot lost over 220 million because of the breach. And that's not because they lost customers necessarily. That has to do with court and legal fees, payouts, and we don't even know the total number because there were so many closed-door settlements that occurred that never even made it to court. So here we can see kind of a snapshot of that data. In 2014, the net data breach expenses alone were $33 million. After a lawsuit, Home Depot had to owe credit cards and banks over $134 million. Also, customers were given over $19 million through a settlement, and then banks got another settlement of $25 million. Also, there's an estimate that Home Depot spent over $8 million on court and legal fees. But really, as I said, this could all be more because we have no idea what happened behind closed doors, and Home Depot never released how much money they lost in customers. Solution. So one solution that Home Depot took was they installed chip and PIN card readers. You may have seen them at grocery stores or at the mall. Basically, instead of swiping our cards now, you put your credit card with a little chip on it, you insert it into the machine, and it takes a bit longer. But the nice thing about that is the chip and PIN card readers do not directly take your data. They encrypt it in a different way, so it's not actually matching the numbers on your card, so no one can steal the numbers. Also, another thing Home Depot did was they installed point-to-point encryption software. So what this means is that they installed software that basically sends the person's credit card data to the bank, and then the bank gets to say yes or no to the purchase. And so that's also another way that the numbers on the credit card are not directly going out into data systems that people can hack. Obviously, Home Depot started to monitor their IT systems much more closely after this, and I will discuss that in the next slide. So one of the things that they did, and this was actually court order, a judge told them to do this, they hired a chief information security officer. And then they also hired more IT professionals, and they fixed their malware and updated their systems. They also, as I said, installed the chip and pin card readers. And the point-to-point encryption software. They also trained staff members to try and spot installation of card skimmers to prevent that from happening. And to help their company reputation, they were extremely transparent with the press and other customers. They came out and said, look, we had a data breach. We don't know what happened yet. We're looking into it. And then as the information came in, they released that to customers and to the press. So if I were the CEO of the company, as I said before, I would have really focused on prevention. As soon as I heard that Target had a data breach, I would have looked at my company as a whole. I would have hired a chief information security officer right off the bat, and they would have worked with employees who monitor IT systems and data, and they would have made sure that my Windows servers were properly updated, which Home Depot's were not. They also would have done regular vulnerability scanning and made sure that my network threat protection setting was turned on my Symantec endpoint protection virus software, which Home Depot also did not have. I should also mention that Home Depot's website states that in 2007 they updated their IT software, which had not been updated since 1999. Now, this kind of shows how Home Depot doesn't really value their IT, and they probably should have taken more steps in prevention, which is what I would have done. I also would have had vendors log into a separate account not even linked to customer data. Now, this is one of the biggest things that Home Depot did wrong, because somebody hacked into the vendor's login, and then that's how they were able to install malware and get the customer's credit card information and email addresses. I would have also had vendors and employees take a training course, a malware training course, see what to look out for online, and what type of data to basically not put online, and how to protect your computer. I would have also been very transparent with media and customers to help my reputation, and I would have set up a hotline for customers to call and ask questions about the breach. After the breach, I would have also upped a marketing campaign of Home Depot to kind of distract from the bad press. I would have focused on things like our presence in the home improvement community and how we really try and help customers. So in conclusion, no company is immune to a data breach. As we saw with Target, even Sony has had data breaches. So many companies have had them. And Home Depot, as I said, is still financially suffering from the data breach. They still were in court up until this year. Also, technology is changing. It's constantly changing, which means that we constantly need companies to have trained professionals working around the clock to prevent data breaches. We have to remember that even though Home Depot fixed their issues, that this could happen again because technology, as I said, changes, and hackers, learn how to disrupt that technology and get the information they want. So I'd like to say, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at this email below. You can also reach me on FAU Canvas if you are in my course. These are the references that I used today in case you'd like to look up any additional articles or kind of just take a look at my research. I'd like to thank you for joining me, and just remember that no matter what company you work for, data breaches can happen, and they should always be prevented as best as possible. Thank you.